everyone. My name is Leela Sinha, and this is an everyday Saris video coming to you from my dog sitting gig. So this isn't my usual spot, and everything's a little bit hacked, but it's still gonna work. It'll be fine. So I know it's been a long time since I've done one of these videos, and I apologize for that. But you know, getting the videos shot is one thing, and then getting the videos posted is a totally other thing. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about today, as I'm putting this on, so this is another khadi cloth sari. It's hand spun, hand woven. It's had the edges done what they call picot in a very nice solid overlock, which is excellent. And so I'm just going to be putting this on here, at least for now. I think I'm probably just going to put it on as a not as a dhoti drape, although that's tempting, but I'm just going to be putting it on as a regular sari. So yeah, I think I'll actually, so this is the thing, right? You have to decide all kinds of decisions when you get dressed. I think I'm going to be putting it on as pants, basically, today, in the kaccha style. So I'm going to do a bunch of pleats in the front, and then I'm going to pull it through my legs, and I'm not going to do the top half right now anyway. It's a pretty, I had been planning to wear the yellow one, but it's a pretty chilly day, and this one's a little thicker, a little bit heavier because it's hand spun, so I think I'll be wearing this one. So what I wanted to talk about today, which I talked about a little bit in my Patreon essay that went out to my $5 patrons yesterday, is the way in which saris, because they're so like atmospherically loud, they obscure stuff, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is a regular number of pleats for if I were going to put it over my shoulder, but we're going to keep going for a minute. Because I think what's challenging for me anyway is that if I wear sari, it brings my Indian heritage right to the front. It makes it impossible almost to ignore, especially in a place like the Bay Area, right? Like, people know what it is, they know where it's from. A lot of times they have a story about it, they want to talk about it. I don't always want to talk about it. That's a decision I have to make when I get dressed. Do I feel like talking about my heritage and my clothes and justifying my choices, or not? Maybe I don't feel like doing that today, and so I'll wear pants. But you know, that's kind of, that goes with the territory. That's one of the larger hazards of this whole thing. But what's interesting to me is that I also end up giving up a little bit of who I am, right? Because people have a lot of ideas about who you can and can't be in particular ways. And people don't usually mix Indianness and queerness, for example, for the most glaring example. So when I lived in Minneapolis a long, long time ago, I was a frequent patron of the local feminist co-op lesbian bookstore. And they were, you know, right up the street from me, basically. So I went there a lot. I hung out there. I went there when I was lonely because I had my own apartment. So, you know, sometimes I just wanted to see another human being. And I really liked being that close to them. So it looks like I didn't quite make enough pleats. So I have a couple of choices. I think I'm just going to fudge it here because I don't feel like repleating everything. So I'm just going to fudge it and tuck that in. I like this bright pink, so I'm going to keep it visible. And now I'm going to grab the sides and do this thing where you sort of walk in toward the middle and see if you can find the middle of the pleats. So, and for me, the middle of the pleats is almost always at the end of the fall. That's not true for everybody, but it's almost always true for me. And when I first moved to Minneapolis, So what I'm doing here is I'm just picking up that center piece, as I think I've showed you before. Now I could make a knot in this if I wanted to. I could knot it to give it a little bit more to hang on to, but I don't really feel like doing that. So I'm just going to tuck it in like this. And because it's khadi cloth, because it's a little rougher, a little more coarse, it will probably stay where I put it. If it were not khadi cloth, it would be probably fairly prone to falling down. Also, this I'm deciding is a little too long, so we're just going to mod that and tuck it in, which will give it a nice little drape down the front. So the thing that I've been thinking about is the fact that when I moved to Minneapolis, I had a long braid down to my butt, and that made me pretty visible as somebody with Indian heritage. And then when I changed it, I cut it all off. I mean, buzzed it shorter than this, and suddenly I was invisible to the South Asian community, but I was instantly visible to the queer community. So that bookstore where I used to go, they used to treat me like I was kind of weird, and then once I cut my hair, I immediately got eye contact and smiles and things like that. I've told this story a lot, so you may have heard me tell it before, but what's important to me about that in relation to this is that wearing a sari is kind of like cutting my hair in reverse, right? It's like, it's obviously incontrovertibly something, right? It's incontrovertibly foreign to people in this country, and it's visible, and there's a weird sense of entitlement that a lot of people have, that, you know, when I wear a sari, then they feel like, oh, well, then I must obviously want to talk about it. That's not necessarily true, although it's sometimes true. But what I've noticed is that recently, especially, I'm aware that if I put a sari on, I'm really obscuring my queerness, which, you know, people in the queer community don't usually have trouble identifying each other. And this haircut helps a lot. The way I carry myself, a lot of the other kind of trappings of my existence lend themselves to me being identified as queer. They're kind of subtle flagging. There was a time in the queer community where we used to flag with freedom rings, which are those rainbow colored rings that go around your neck, or I had little tiny freedom ring earrings, and I had a small freedom ring necklace. I used to flag with pins. I used to flag with all kinds of things. And as queerness has become more mainstream, flagging has become less of a thing. But even so, this outfit doesn't flag as hard at all. This outfit is like, I mean, it could be anything, but this is the noticeable thing about me. This becomes invisible, relatively speaking, you know, in contrast. And so it's this fascinating process of having to decide, like, which parts of my gender and orientation and heritage I wanna occupy, because it's really hard for people to, like, layer them all together. It really challenges people. So that's what I've been thinking about in terms of saris. And you watched me put this on. Obviously, if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I think I see comments when they come in. Again, this is a kaccha drape. So I took a 6-yard sari and draped it and tied it like I normally would on the bottom, except that I used all of the 6 yards for around my waist. I didn't keep any to put over my shoulder, so it's basically a pants drape. And then I found the middle of the pleats and pulled that through and tucked it right in the middle, in the back. And so now I'm wearing pants, custom fitted pants. If you try this and you notice that you have limited motion, you probably didn't leave yourself enough pleats in the front. You have to make a lot of pleats for this to be a comfortable outfit, and you do have to watch it, because after a while your heel will start to catch in the back if it starts to sag. So for most people, I know, including me, that my waistline kind of drops over the course of the day. It'll probably be down this far by the end of the day, and so as that happens, you have to either re-pleat and readjust, or keep tucking it in so that it doesn't get underfoot. But it's a marvelously practical drape, as you can see, full range of motion, plenty of fabric in there to cover anything I want to do. And if you want to pee, you just take that tuck out of the back. And what I do, instead of having to find that center point again and again, I take it out of the back and I keep it just as it is, and I just tuck it right in front while I pee, you know, you use it like a skirt, you pick it up and you can pee under it. And then when you're done with the toilet, you just pull that out and run it back through your legs, and you don't have to do any messing around with it. See there, see how my foot almost got caught? You gotta be careful. But that said, it's a marvelously comfortable, versatile drape. If you go someplace where you need to tuck it up a little further, you just tuck a little bit more in the waist and the back, and enjoy. It's a super fun drape. It is, while it is traditional, it's also not worn much in India anymore. So I wouldn't go to India and put this on. I wouldn't do this in India. At least not unless I move to India and start living independently, but certainly not around my relatives. But it's a useful trick, right? It's a good thing to know, and here in the United States, of course, it's perfectly acceptable. So that's the story of the kaccha drape today. Today's comfy khadi, everyday sari, and I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Patreon. I have a patreon.com/everydaysaris. If you want, SARIS, if you would like to support these videos and my work. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm at Pleated Poems, Pleated Poems is my Instagram handle, and I post a lot of pictures of myself there. So enjoy this, enjoy the day. I don't know what it's like for you where you are, but here in California, it's a beautiful sunny day. I'm going to take the dog to the beach later, probably in this sari, and maybe I'll report back. Have a great day.